So it's been a while since I have read this particular part of the manga, but this episode honestly blew me away because it didn't rely on any action. It was just pure storytelling, and the way that they told the story in this episode was just so damn good, and a lot of moments actually resonated with me. And we got to find out a few things that we didn't necessarily know before. For example, we got to learn a lot more about Kenny and Levi, and it just came well together so well. There were so many touching moments in my opinion. Obviously, not everyone's going to see this the same way, but for the most part, the majority of the episode was just Kenny's story. Of course, we have a bit of Levi in there as well, but we learn a lot about his relationship with the king, you know, just the people inside the walls, a bit of Levi as well. It was just such a very good and grounded episode. The episode basically begins with the king at the time, who is Yuri, I believe, and Kenny essentially just coming together to just be a unit inside the wall that could just handle things in a good manner. Kenny was actually initially trying to kill Yuri, but that changed when Yuri ended up bowing down to him. And this is kind of the point where we start to learn that the Ackermans are actually a very special breed of human, so to speak. Because of course we have Levi, we have Mikasa, we have Kenny. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the king isn't capable of erasing his mind because he is an Ackerman. And then this is where we start to see a bit more of Levi. Basically, Kenny goes to see his sister, and Levi is just there, literally just skin and bones. And his sister is dead, right? So he decides to take Levi under his wing, but he doesn't necessarily want to become his father, just kind of teach him the basics of survival, right? It definitely seemed like he was helping Levi out of pity for the death of his sister and the fact that he just didn't want a kid to die by himself. We see a sequence of Levi just learning how to do the things that Kenny knows himself, like fight, and of course just the way he interacts with people. But I think one of the most interesting things about this particular episode was the relationship between Kenny and Yuri. Even after all this time, he doesn't necessarily realize why Yuri does the things that he does, and of course, Kenny is still a bit dumbfounded on why he didn't end up killing Yuri. And keep in mind that the reason why Kenny was trying to kill Yuri for the most part is because they were basically killing off the Ackerman family, because they were basically revolting against the throne. Yuri ends up dying, and of course, before he dies, he ends up transferring the power to Frida. And that particular plot point kind of leads to where we are now in terms of the Attack on Titan present timeline. But at one point, Kenny does actually end up leaving Levi because he just doesn't want to be anyone's dad. He taught him the basics, of course, so Levi could fend for himself, but he's just gonna bounce, basically. And towards the end of the episode, we have the final conversation between Levi and Kenny, and this is one of the better moments of the episode because you kind of understand the relationship that the two have. They don't necessarily hate each other. You can tell that they have respect for each other, but they are on neutral ground. They don't like or hate each other. They are just like, you know what, we're cool, kind of, but not really. Kenny has the Titan serum that he managed to swipe from a rod. He tells Levi that he could use it to turn into a Titan just to prolong his life, basically, even though he is going to be a mindless Titan. Conversation bounces between the two, and then Levi asks Kenny why he left him back then, and it's because of what I said before. Kenny just didn't want to be anyone's dad. And then the final thing that we really hear from Kenny is him finally understanding why Yuri did what he did when they first met. He basically says that everyone was the same. They are all pushed by something. The reason why they do what they do is because they have some sort of motivation. Some people do it for family, power. There are just so many different reasons that he mentions. And he basically says that everyone was a slave to something, and this applied to Yuri as well. And then the final thing that Kenny does before he dies is he hands Levi the Titan serum, and that is the last thing that he does. And then the next part of the episode focuses on Historia's coronation, and there was this really cool scene that I personally liked that was between just the whole squad, essentially. You know, we had Mikasa, Historia, what's his name, Horseface, Eren, just everyone was there, and Historia basically just kind of wanted to stand up to Levi. She hits him with a punch, and it's just such a weird reaction from Levi that we aren't used to seeing. He just thanks them, and for me it was such a touching moment because you just don't see, for one, Levi smile that much, and you just don't see him normally react that particular way. because she literally just punches him and then he just smiles back and he's like, thank you, all of you. I thought it was a great moment for just all of them, and the next few episodes of this season, oh my goodness, are going to be insane. And then the episode ends with the Armored Titan versus the Beast Titan or Ape Titan. We don't actually see the fight, but to be honest, I think this is actually for the best. In fact, it's probably the best way that he could have done it. But I thought it was a dope episode. Obviously, if you want to get a deeper understanding of what Kenny's backstory is, then watch the episode yourself. But to be honest, I really like how they've been handling this season. They have honestly been spot on with the pacing. They didn't cut that many important things out, to be honest. The core elements are there. You know what you need to know. The Kenny stuff was great. Of course, we got a bit of Levi in there as well. We understand how and why Kenny got to the point that he did. I personally like episodes like this. I know a lot of people don't like it when there's just a lot of storytelling elements, so to speak. But like I said before, the way that they handled it, in my opinion, was great. Of course, I kind of expected them to leave the Armored Titan stuff for next episode. I think they cut a bit out, but not too much that's important or anything. So yeah, that was pretty much it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Definitely looking forward to next week and seeing what they do. Of course, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you all in the next one.